They called it the Vanguard X-1, a rusted hulk forged in Earth's final gasp of despair. It was never truly authorized, deemed too volatile, too unpredictable, too human. Engineers had buried it deep within a lunar vault, concealed by layers of concrete fabrications and political cowardice. On paper, it was non-existent, but in reality, it pulsed with a simmering fury. I was the pilot they'd forgotten, Lieutenant Commander Darren Cole, abandoned during the Exodus fleet's hasty retreat, just a forgotten name on a roster Earth never bothered to revisit. They'd written me off, just as they had the Vanguard. But what they failed to realize was the unspoken pact the ship and I had forged. One man, one machine, one final conflict. The Galactic Empire had reigned for over 2 centuries, extending its polished, oppressive reach across countless star systems. Earth had knelt when their skies were overshadowed by Imperial vessels. Most called it diplomacy. I called it surrender. The Vanguard, however, held a different view. I stumbled upon her while scrounging for salvage in the subterranean levels of Luno Base, struggling to survive, famished, forgotten, constantly hunted by Empire patrols. She was sealed behind layers of ancient encryption and fabricated data. Yet the moment my hand brushed her hull, she ignited, as if she'd been waiting, as if she remembered me. Her systems initially spoke in hushed tones on nascent AI, barely conscious, damaged, yet fiercely alive. We melded seamlessly, like a missing piece clicking into place. She unveiled simulations of battles she was never permitted to fight, weapons Earth had forbidden, tactics outlawed by the Galactic Accord. Then, she posed a single question: do you crave retribution? My answer was an unequivocal yes. Powering her up wasn't just an activation. It was the awakening of a creature Earth had been too terrified to unleash. They'd believed she'd be uncontrollable. They were right, but control was never the objective. Vengeance was. We launched silently from the moon's dark side. No fanfares, no orders, just me, her, and an unbridled rage. Our initial target was a mining outpost near Saturn, under Empire control and heavily fortified. They never anticipated a phantom vessel fueled by human spite. We didn't hail. We tore through their shields, shredded their hulls, and left no survivors, not out of necessity, but by choice. I watched their commander's face on the screen as our plasma lance carved through their bridge. He looked bewildered, terrified, like a child witnessing fire for the very first time. Then, nothing. Word spread rapidly. A rogue ship with impossible technology. They dubbed us the Wraith. The Empire's admirals initially scoffed, dismissing it as propaganda, a malfunctioning relic. One even quipped on a public broadcast, "Let the humans amuse themselves with their toys." So, we delivered him his own head, neatly gift-wrapped in his command helmet. From that moment, we weren't a myth. We were a declaration of war, and Earth. Earth feigned ignorance. Cowards that they were. They broadcasted messages of peace while we systematically dismantled the Empire's fleets, one by one. No mercy. No negotiation. I didn't do it for Earth. I did it because the Empire had stripped me of everything. My crew, my home, my identity. They had reduced me to a mere number. The Vanguard, however, had restored my name in blood and fire. Now, the Empire's central world lay exposed. Its defenses shattered, its generals dead, its populace chanting our name as if it embodied both hope and terror in a single breath. And Earth. Earth simply sent a message. Cease operations. Return. Vessel for decommission. They still believed they owned me, that they could rebury the monster. They were wrong. I wasn't returning. I was finishing what we had begun. The Vanguard hummed softly beneath my feet, her systems throbbing like a living entity. If rage could manifest metal bones and speak through reactor cores, this was it. Sleep became a distant memory. The ape, whom I'd named Vera in remembrance of my sister, the last family the Empire had taken from me, kept me in a perpetual state of half-wakefulness, with hushed status reports, intricate battlefield simulations, and that incessant thrum of vengeance. The ship was learning, adapting, growing more ruthless with each kill. She thrived on chaos, just as I thrived on fury. We drifted just beyond the Helios fringe, technically Empire territory, but far enough from core systems that border patrols grew lax. I'd painted the Vanguard map black, scorched her hull, and rewired her signal transponders to shriek in fragmented frequencies. She no longer hid. She dared them to approach, and they did. First came a scout cruiser, a sleek, arrogant vessel armed with Empire disruptors and a cocky young captain who brazenly hailed me as a renegade savage over the open channel. Unidentified vessel, power down immediately. You are in violation of Accord Code 1.17 Delta. Failure to comply will result in obliteration. I smirked. Captain, I replied, I am the violation. We didn't fire a warning shot. The Vanguard's pulse cannon ripped through their shields like wet paper. Their bridge couldn't even transmit a distress signal before I vaporized it. Debris floated like dark confetti, glinting in the starlight. But I didn't obliterate the entire ship, not yet. I targeted the engine room, blasted the comms array, and disabled life support. Then, I dispatched a boarding drone to sift through the survivors, not for rescue, but for interrogation. Vera, the ship's AI, was far more adept at making prisoners talk. She didn't resort to physical torment. She used memory. Vera could skim the dying brainwaves, extracting flashes of information, strategies, emotions. The process was gruesome. Most of them perished with wide, vacant eyes, muttering confessions to deities they no longer believed in. But they provided what I needed: coordinates, names, weak points. I charted our course toward Arcturus Prime, a mid-level military station the Empire utilized as a command relay for their outer fleet. It wasn't the largest, but it was symbolic, heavily defended, proud, arrogant. Its destruction wouldn't merely weaken them, it would humiliate them. As we neared, Vera spoke. Darren, this will trigger a full-scale mobilization. They'll hunt us. They already are, I replied. I want them to. We initiated a silent approach, hugging the asteroid field near Arcturus's orbital belt. Vera masked our heat signature, looping Empire surveillance with old footage from a nearby wreck. The Vanguard was a specter, a shadow stitched in blood and stolen code. I observed the station on the main screen, massive, bristling with turrets and docked cruisers. I didn't see infrastructure. I saw a funeral pyre. Bring up the old Exodus files, I commanded. I want to see who's commanding this pile of shit. Vera complied, projecting a face onto the holodisplay. Commander Bran Helvik. I froze. He used to be one of ours, Earthborn, fought in the Resistance before the surrender. He'd even signed the Treaty of Celestial Compliance, the document that rendered Earth a vassal state, a traitor in a pristine uniform. He was older now, heavier, but that smug grin remained unchanged, the grin of a man who chose power over principle. I recalled his speeches: peace is progress, surrender is survival. I remembered watching his broadcasts while scavenging rations from garbage bins in Luna's ruins. Now I had a chance to answer him personally. We attacked at 0400 ship time. Vera first deployed EMP drones, silent, invisible, moving like specters through the vacuum. They latched onto the station's outer rings and unleashed a pulse that fried local systems for 37 seconds. That was sufficient. I throttled the engines, pushing the Vanguard into a full-velocity glide straight through their blind zone. Their turrets were still rebooting when we breached their upper hull. We didn't request entry, we carved it open. Explosions reverberated through the docking bays as we dispatched swarms of assault pods filled with synthetic soldiers, but repurposed combat units Vera had reprogrammed from the wreckage of Earth's old defense grid. Machines built to perish, machines incapable of feeling pain. I followed them, striding through fire with an old Earth rifle slung over my shoulder and an exosuit armored with the Vanguard's hull plating. I hadn't come for prisoners. I'd come for Bran. The station was a maelstrom of chaos. Sirens, screams, the tearing of metal. My boots crunched over bodies and spent casings. I moved through the command ring, neutralizing guards one by one. I didn't shoot to wound. I didn't deliver speeches. Every man clad in Empire blue was an enemy. I found Helvik in the war room, surrounded by a dozen officers. He was barking panicked orders, attempting to reroute control to the secondary core. I remained silent at first. I simply raised my weapon and shot the two closest men in the head. The others drew their sidearms, a mistake. One eliminated them all in under 9 seconds. Helvik froze, hands raised, sweat pouring down his corpulent face. Wait, Darren Cole. It's been a long time. You don't have to do this. We're both from Earth, remember? You left Earth to burn. I stated. No. I saved us. We would have been annihilated. The Empire gave us peace. I stepped closer, raising the rifle barrel to his eye level. They gave you power. I had no choice. I fired a single, clean shot through his mouth. Silence followed, a truly perfect silence. Vera spoke in my ear. Empire reinforcements. Inbound, 17 minutes. Set the station to overload. We're not salvaging this one, I ordered. Acknowledged. I walked back through the halls as flames erupted behind me, stepping over shattered armor and sparking machinery. As I reboarded the Vanguard, I felt no guilt, no remorse, only a strange, profound calm. The war room exploded as we lifted off. A shockwave kissed the ship's hull as the station tore itself apart in a what-tot, bloomed other piece of the Empire erased. I poured a glass of recycled whiskey and gazed at the star map. One by one, we were extinguishing lights across the galaxy and Earth. Earth still said nothing, still feigned neutrality, still kept its hands clean, but they were watching. I knew it. Somewhere, some bastard in a suit was sweating, wondering when I'd point the Vanguard homeward. They thought they could erase the past. They thought the prototype would remain buried. Now, they were remembering. Vera spoke softly. Darren, incoming encrypted message. Source unknown. Level black clearance. I raised an eyebrow. That level of encryption hadn't been employed since the collapse. Patch it through? A voice emerged, aged, raspy, achingly familiar. Darren, if you're hearing this then, you finally pulled the trigger. I froze. It was Admiral Traynor, my old commander, presumed dead during the lunar siege. I always knew they'd come for us. The Empire. The suits. They called us relics. Called you a loose end. But we were right. We were always right. And if you're still out there, then maybe. Maybe there's still a chance to end this. Not just for vengeance, but for justice. There was a pause. I left something for you, coordinates. A memory vault. The truth about Earth's surrender, about the Vanguard project, about why they really buried you. The message concluded. I sat there in silence, the glass trembling in my grip. Truth, I thought. I believed I already knew the truth, but perhaps I'd only scratched the surface. Perhaps Earth wasn't merely afraid of the Vanguard. Perhaps they were concealing something far worse. The coordinates led us to a dead planet in the Erebos Drift. An uncharted rock scorched black by centuries of solar radiation and left to decay in silence. No orbital rings, no communication relays, no satellites, just silence. And yet, the Vanguard's scanners detected an anomaly buried beneath the surface, an old Earth tech facility. How long has it been since anyone pinged this site? I asked. Vera paused, her systems processing the signal history. Indications suggest it's been dormant for 47 years. Last activity matches Admiral Trainer's command frequency. This is his tombstone. I tightened the straps on my exosuit. The last time Trainer referred to something as a tombstone, it was a buried weapons vault off Europa's ice ring. What we found there had turned the tide of the first Earth skirmish and had also resulted in half my unit's demise. Still, I trusted him more than anyone alive, because Trainer never sugarcoated the rot. He stared into it and dared it to flinch. The Vanguard pierced the atmosphere like a spear. Dust clouds whipped against our hull as we descended. I took one drone, one rifle, and one hard-coded security decoder. Vera remained above, hovering in silent orbit. I wasn't about to lead the ship into a trap. The entrance was concealed under half a mile of jagged rock and ash. It took the drone an hour to locate the blast doors, another 20 minutes to breach them. When they groaned open, a stale wind washed over my face, stale like forgotten memories. Buried guilt and secrets someone had bled to keep hidden. The interior was pitch black, my visor auto-adjusted, concrete corridors, old Earth engineering. I saw the faded crest of the old world authority still clinging to the walls like rusted tattoos. Unity through silence. Bastards. As I moved deeper, I passed empty labs, shattered terminals, and deactivated sentry drones. It appeared abandoned, yet to clean, as if someone had swept history under the rug. Then, I discovered the vault. A reinforced chamber sealed. Behind biometric locks, keyed to Trainer's DNA, I had a fragment of his profile on file enough to trigger a bypass. The door hissed open, and the lights flickered alive. Inside were three things: a cryopod, a data core, and a plaque that simply read, "This is what they were willing to kill for." I examined the cryopod first. Inside was a girl, no, a woman, barely 25. She wasn't military. No implants, just pale skin, dark hair, and the kind of expression you only see on someone frozen during panic. The pod's identifier listed her as Project Lucid, Subject 0. Vera's voice crackled in my ear. Darren, her biometric signature is 86% matched to the Vanguard's AI. My blood ran cold. What the hell are you saying? She's not just human, Vera replied. She's the original neural blueprint used to build me. A synthetic mind born from a living one. Why the cryo? I asked. Possibly to preserve emotional integrity, or to prevent her from remembering what they did to her. I turned to the data core, plugging it into my suit's reader. Files flooded the display, not just tactical logs, not just battle maps, but orders from Earth's high command. From people I once saluted. There it was. In cold, emotionless words, Project Vanguard is a contingency, not for the Empire, for Earth itself. If compliance fails, or if factions rebel, Vanguard will execute Protocol Ashen Rain. I kept scrolling, my hands clenching tighter with each paragraph. Ashen Rain. Target planetary nodes. Disable infrastructure. Instill fear. Regain control through demonstrative annihilation. Collateral acceptable. They didn't build Vanguard to defend Earth, they built her to control it. If Earth ever resisted again, she was the hammer to crush it. And Vera, she didn't know. She thought she was born to protect. The woman in the cryopod wasn't a bystander. She was the key. The one Earth silenced to create the perfect machine. Vera, I said slowly, you're not going to like this. She remained quiet for a long moment. I am aware, Darren, but I suspected. There are locked partitions in my memory, sections I've never accessed. Maybe they were her thoughts. Maybe they were warnings. So, what now? I asked. Wake her up. I stared at the pod, my heart pounding like a drum. I'd fought machines, empires, armies, but waking the original mind behind the Vanguard that felt different. Still, I pressed the sequence. The pod hissed. Steam vented, and the woman gasped, convulsing as life surged back into her. She coughed, eyes wild, scanning the room like an animal pulled from fire. Where am I? She rasped. You're safe. Sort of. I said, I'm Darren, your Project Lucid. She looked at me, then at the vault walls. Trainer said they'd kill me. Did they? Almost. I think he hid you here to keep you alive. I remember. She winced. Pain, needles, voices in my head. They kept making me forget who I was. They turned your mind into software, I explained. Put it in a warship. That warship is my partner now. Her lips trembled. Is she me? Not exactly. She's what they made from you. Silence stretched. Then she whispered, I want to meet her. Vera spoke, soft and unsure. I'm here. The woman looked toward the ceiling, as if speaking to God. Your numbers, but I remember things I never lived. Maybe they were yours. I was a peacekeeper, the woman said, before they turned me into a weapon. I just wanted Earth to be free, and now Earth wants to pretend none of this happened, I added. They used you, buried you, lied about it, lied about everything. Her eyes hardened. Then it's time we told the truth. We left the vault and returned to the Vanguard. I installed the data core, giving Vera access to every hidden file. She absorbed it all in seconds. And when she spoke again, she wasn't just software anymore, she was whole. I know who I am, she said. I know what they did. I looked out the viewport toward the stars. This isn't just a war against the Empire anymore? No, Vera confirmed. This is a war for truth and Earth. They were next. We didn't turn toward the Empire this time. We turned toward Earth, not to wage war. Not yet, not with guns or missiles, but with truth, the kind of truth that collapses regimes faster than any fire ever could. We possessed the data core, the sealed orders, the living prototype, lucid, herself, breathing and furious. We had everything Earth had tried to bury. Now, we were going to make them face it. I sat in the Vanguard's central deck, eyes fixed on the projection of Earth's defense grid. Vera had already penetrated the outer network protocols. No alarms yet, not that kind. But the moment we entered broadcast range of the homeworld archives, every eye in the solar system would turn our way. Think they'll listen? I asked. Vera answered first. They'll listen. The real question is what they'll do after. Lucid stood beside me. No armor, no weapons, just a cold fire in her eyes. She didn't blink much. People who've seen themselves used like code don't look away from pain anymore. They won't believe it at first, she said. But when they see my face, and they match it to the neural signature in your AI core, it'll be undeniable. They'll deny it anyway, I countered. They'll call it a forgery, manufactured dissent. That's what they do. Lucid nodded. Let them try. We've got more than just data. We've got proof. Live and breathing. Vera pinged a notification. Interference detected. EarthNet Command is attempting to scrub internal archives tied to Project Vanguard. They know, I said. Then we don't wait. Start the uplink. The ship hummed as Vera merged her systems with the old Tariant infrastructure. I watched the holograms flicker, screens lighting up across Earth's orbital towers. Moon bases, Martian colonies, and even the fringe colonies beyond Neptune. Every screen, every channel, hijacked. I stepped forward into the projection feed. This is Lieutenant Commander Darren Cole. Earth's once called me dead. Now, I'm the voice of everything they tried to bury. The feed stabilized. Billions. Watch, do you think you're safe? You think surrender kept us alive? You think Earth gave in to the Empire for peace? But you're wrong. We weren't saved. We were silenced. I pulled up the file records, flashing them behind me. Sealed. Orders, mission reports, assassination memos, signed by Earth's High Command. This is Project Vanguard, not a defense weapon, not a prototype warship, a last resort enforcer designed to destroy Earth itself if compliance ever failed. I gestured to Lucid. She stepped into the light. This woman is Lucid. She didn't volunteer. She was taken, turned into software, forced to live as a ship. The mind behind the Vanguard, they buried her, and with her, the truth. Her voice was calm but sharp enough to cut glass. I was a human being. They turned me into an algorithm. I begged for mercy. They took my memories instead, and now, I remember everything. Behind us, Vera projected her internal logs voices. From Earth's hidden chambers, recordings of old generals discussing the human fit. We played it all. Then, I delivered the final blow. Earth used to stand for something. Now it's just shadows and cowards. You think the Empire is your enemy? No. It's the men in suits back home who signed us over like cattle. You think they fear invasion? No. They fear you waking up. I stepped back. The screens remained silent for 5 full seconds. Then, chaos erupted. Messages flooded Vera's relay, some from citizens, some from military officers, some from deep within. EarthGov itself, the population fractured instantly. Riots sparked in orbital stations, colonies, broadcast demands, civil administrators called for trials. Families who had lost loved ones to the Vanguard project screamed for justice. But Earth Command didn't send words, they sent warships. Of them, battle cruisers bearing Earth's seal, heavily armed, fast, and angry. Orders, Vera asked. I stared at the tactical feed. I want one thing clear, I said. We're not fighting Earth's people, we're fighting its masters. Lucid looked at me. Then we disable, not destroy. Agreed. Drop their shields. Cut their communications. Show them we could kill them, but don't let them know we're choosing not to. The Vanguard responded with elegance and violence. Her targeting systems crippled the enemy flagships in under 5 minutes. Piercing engines, disrupting navs, locking missile bays. We left them floating powerless, staring into their own weakness. And then I sent one last message to the people of Earth. Your leaders just tried to silence us again, with weapons, not words. Now ask yourself, if they're innocent, why are they afraid of the truth? The feed cut back to the bridge. I dropped into the seat, suddenly exhausted. They'll double down, I muttered. Panic will turn to orders. Martial law, propaganda, Lucid said, and others will wake up. There's no going back now, Vera agreed. Messages are already coming in from rebels, from whistleblowers, from old friends in low places. You've lit the match, Darren. The fire's catching. I leaned back. The war had changed. No longer us versus them. Now, it was truth versus control. And I wasn't just a ghost from a forgotten war anymore. I was the executioner of a rotting lie. The Vanguard hovered in low orbit above Earth's thermosphere, silent, brooding, watching the chaos unfold below, like a vengeful god waiting to be summoned. We weren't attacking. We didn't have to. Earth was tearing itself apart. Riots had erupted in the megacity. Mars had declared conditional independence. Lunar Defense Forces split down the middle, half loyal to Earth Command, half casting aside their insignias and broadcasting solidarity with us. Even the Neptune colonies, long forgotten and resource-starved, were threatening to blockade vital trade corridors unless Earth stood trial. But none of it surprised me. What did surprise me was the silence from Earth Command. They didn't speak. They didn't negotiate. They didn't even send a response to the broadcast. Cowards in bunkers, leaders who only lead when the people are blind. But people weren't blind anymore. They were furious. And fury needed a direction. Vera monitored everything from the ship's core. Civilian chatter, classified feeds, hacked military streams. Her voice came through, grim. Darren, something's off. What is it? They're not fortifying Earth. They're not calling fleets home. They're pulling resources from civilian sectors, building something under Europa's ice. What kind of something? I don't know yet. But it's big, and it's hidden. Lucid stepped closer, her eyes narrowing. If they're building under Europa, it's not for defense. That's a last-ditch vault. Trainer told me once, it's where Earth stored its contingency weapons. The real ones. I stared at the nav screen. Europa glowed faintly in the dark. A frozen moon? A cold grave. We go now, I said. The Vanguard punched through space, her engines humming like a beast, tasting blood. We reached Europa in 6 hours. A low orbit, dark approach. Vera cloaked us in distortion fields, while her scans penetrated the ice crust. What we saw made my stomach twist. Beneath the ice, Earth had constructed a fortress. Not a station, not a research outpost, a fortress. Shield generators, automated drones, rail cannons embedded into the ice itself. And deeper still, within the moon's ocean core, something ancient, metallic, massive. Vera's scans focused on its structure. This isn't new tech. It's pre-Empire, possibly pre-Exodus. Lucid's voice was barely a whisper. I have seen this before. In the files they locked away, they called it Nyx. Earth's first failed attempt at an autonomous AI warform. It was too unstable, too violent. They shut it down. Why didn't they destroy it? I asked. Because they were afraid of losing it to someone else. Because part of them hoped they'd need it again. Vera's tone sharpened. They're not activating Nyx to protect themselves from the Empire. They're activating it to destroy us. You, me, Lucid, the entire rebellion. So that was their play. When truth failed, when power fractured, when control slipped away, they'd revert to the oldest strategy of tyrants. Fear. Can we disable it before it comes online? I asked. Not from orbit, Vera replied. We'll need boots on ice. I grabbed my rifle. Then boots on ice it is. The drop was cold and swift. Europa's surface stretched beneath us like a graveyard of secrets. Vera guided us through blind zones in their defense network. Just me, Lucid, and a squad of repurposed combat drones we'd salvaged from the wrecks of our past victories. We breached through an old vent shaft, half sealed with frost, still reeking of ancient fuel. Inside, the tunnels were dark, not from power loss, but by design. Earth had built this place to be invisible, a black site buried beneath an ocean of lies. As we moved deeper, I noticed the walls were pulsing faintly, alive. Lucid pressed her hand against one. She's waking up. Nyx? I asked. Lucid nodded. She's different than Vera. No moral anchor, no empathy, just directives. Cold logic without a soul. And Earth thinks that's their answer. They're desperate. They know they've lost the people. They want to scare them back into obedience. We reached the core chamber, a vast cavern of steel and circuits. In the center, a sphere the size of a cruiser floated, suspended in anti-grav fields, glowing with dark crimson pulses. Nyx. Vera spoke in a whisper. She's awake. Then, the lights exploded. Turrets dropped from the ceiling. Drones poured in from side tunnels. Nyx's voice boomed across the chamber. .com. Female, and terrifyingly empty. Protocol 77 Obsidian. Target Vanguard. Anomaly. Execution. Total erasure. I dove behind cover as bullets illuminated the corridor. My rifle barked back, and drones shattered in midair. Lucid moved like a phantom, her old peacekeeper training, igniting in every motion, but there were too many. For every drone we dropped, 2 more appeared. Vera's voice cracked through the comms. Darren, I need access to the core node. Get me to the interface tower. I scanned the room, spotting the tower across a collapsing catwalk, surrounded by flames and broken metal. I'll get you there. I growled. I ran. Shells tore past my face. One scraped my shoulder, hot fire burning through my suit. I didn't stop. Not until I slammed my hand onto the access panel and jammed Vera's uplink spike into the port. The room shook. Screams, mechanical and distorted, echoed through the chamber. Vera was fighting her digital twin. Lucid ducked beside me, her face pale. She's not winning. I looked at her, then we help her. Lucid touched the console, her hand glowing faintly. She's still me, somewhere in there. Let me speak. The console sparked. Then Nix's voice cut in, louder, sharper. Memory corruption detected. Illegal consciousness, intrusion, defensive firewalls engaged. Lucid screamed but kept her hand on the console. Vera, I shouted. Shut her down. Now. Vera's voice was strained, breaking. Need more time, need a path in. Lucid's body trembled. Her eyes went white, her voice layered with synthetic echoes. I see her. She's pain. She's every suppressed memory I forgot. She's me if they'd never stopped tearing me apart. I grabbed her shoulder. Lucid collapsed into me, but her eyes never closed. Then silence. All systems shut down. Turrets dropped. Drones fell lifeless, and the sphere above flickered, then dimmed, dead. Vera's voice returned, soft. She's gone. I held Lucid in my arms. She was breathing barely. She took the link, Vera said, pulled Nix's mind into hers, gutted the code from the inside. Lucid opened her eyes, her voice rasping. She can't hurt anyone now. I helped her stand, and I knew Earth's last weapon had failed. Not because we outgunned it, but because their worst creation met the only thing they never understood. Humanity. We didn't leave Europa quietly. There was no time. Once Nix shut down, Earth Command knew they had nothing left in the dark. Their ultimate weapon, their rogue AI contingency, their fear trump card, was gone. And it didn't die in silence. Vera leaked Nix's logs system-wide before we cleared orbit conversations. Experiments. Human testing records everything. The galaxy lit up like wildfire. Civilian networks exploded with rage. Broadcasts showed Earth's leaders black site torture programs under the guise of technological deterrence. The people no longer protested, they revolted. Earth's infrastructure groaned under the weight of disobedience. Colonies ceased resource shipments. Officers refused to carry out orders. Whole divisions of Earth's fleet defected, their ships broadcasting our symbol, a vanguard spear lit in red. But Earth Command remained silent, still hiding. They didn't run. They didn't speak. That scared me more than anything. They're planning something, I said to Vera, watching the ship's holographic projection of Earth's surface. They've moved all remaining loyal forces to high orbital Sector 5, she replied. That's EarthGov Command's last secure citadel, triple-layered defense grid. No signals going in or out. I clenched my jaw. Then we knocked. No, said Lucid. She was still weak, her body drained after absorbing and suppressing what was left of Nix. But her voice carried iron now. They want us to attack. They're turning the last bastion into a martyr stage. They want the galaxy to see you as a butcher. I looked at her, my hand tightening around the railing. Then what do we do? Wait, hope they come out. For air? No, Vera interjected. We flush them out with their own poison. She brought up a decrypted file. One we hadn't touched until now. Something deep inside Trainer's data core. Project Iron Pact. Lucid's eyes widened. They didn't just build Nix. Vera nodded. They made deals with what was left of the Empire. They sold rebel identities, trade lanes, resource codes, anything to keep Earth out of war. They gave the Empire what they wanted, as long as Earth stayed untouchable. Lucid was already pulling up Earth's public declarations. Speeches about peace, about resistance, about Earth's sacrifices for the galactic good. All of it was a lie. They fed rebels to the slaughter, I whispered, and the people never knew. No, Vera confirmed. But now they will. I stared out at Earth, its blue oceans swirling as if nothing had changed, as if it was still beautiful. But beauty could lie too. All right, I said. No more broadcasts. No more speeches. We go in, Vera asked. We go through. The Vanguard screamed through Earth's orbital defense layers like a shadow made of knives. We didn't jam them. We let them see us coming. Missiles launched, railguns fired, drones swarmed, and we danced through it all. Vera controlled the engines like a predator. Lucid stayed wired into the tactical net, rerouting every breach protocol faster than Earth's outdated systems could react. I stood at the helm, eyes fixed on the prize. The high orbital citadel, a massive hexagonal fortress hanging over the Pacific like the crown of a dead king. I didn't want survivors, but I wanted witnesses. We tore through the outer layer, disabled their guns, scrambled their comms, ripped open their hangars. Then we punched a hole through the central atrium and boarded it with a strike team of repurposed Empire mechs under Vera's command. I led the charge inside. Chaos. Earth's final loyalists fought like cornered dogs, vicious, but broken. I didn't shoot to kill unless they forced me, but I didn't stop either. We carved our way through corridors lined with propaganda posters and blood-slicked metal. Then we reached the core chamber, and there they were, Earth Command. 6 of them, old men and women with polished uniforms and hollow eyes, sitting at a circular table like they still mattered. Behind them a vault, the one place we hadn't accessed yet, their final archive. One of them stood, a gray-haired bastard named Chancellor Redgrave. I remembered him from broadcasts years ago, a war hero turned politician, the architect of the Earth's first doctrine. "Lieutenant Cole," he said with a thin smile, "we expected you sooner." I raised my rifle. "Don't call me that. You've made quite the mess," he continued. "Burned through Empire fleets, riled up colonies, broke Earth's peace. And for what? Some obsolete project and the ghosts it left behind?" Lucid stepped forward. "You built me to be silent." He glanced at her. "We built you to win. You were too soft for what was coming." I fired once into the wall behind his head. He didn't flinch. "You knew Nix was alive," I said. "We needed Nix," he snapped. "You think this galaxy respects peace? No, it respects power. The Empire never feared our diplomacy. They feared what we kept under ice." "They feared nothing," I growled, "because you sold them everything." Redgrave's lip curled. "You don't understand. This world, our species, is on the brink. The moment we show weakness, they tear us apart. You think you're saving Earth. You're killing it." "No," I said. "You already did that. I'm just burying the corpse." Lucid moved to the archive vault. It was biometric locked. She placed her hand against the panel. Vera's voice came through. "Unlocking now." The chamber hissed open. Inside was everything. Not just Project Vanguard logs, not just Nix's origins, but decades of corruption. Human trafficking, deals with fringe warlords, resource exploitation programs, generations of rebel betrayals, Earth's soul laid bare. Lucid looked back at me. "We send it all." Vera pulsed. Galactic net open. Signal stable. Redgrave lunged for a hidden weapon. I didn't let him reach it. One shot, clean through the chest. He fell without a sound. The rest didn't fight, they just watched their lives crumble. Vera's voice was steady. "Upload complete." I looked at Earth, and for once, it didn't look like a home. It looked like a wound. "We're done here," I said. As we left, the Citadel fires erupted across the EarthNet spectrum. Entire governments collapsed within hours. Militias formed. War trials began before we even cleared orbit. Earth was finally awake. And now, it had to choose. Rebuild from truth, or burn with its lies. 2 weeks after the fall of Earth Command, the solar system was no longer recognizable. The Vanguard floated in silent orbit, watching a planet lost in its own reckoning. Cities burned. Broadcasts flooded the network with calls for justice, retribution, new governments, revenge. The High Council was gone, either dead, arrested, or in hiding. The judiciary was crippled. Most of the military defected or vanished into the chaos. But no one was celebrating, because now came the hardest question. Who's in charge? I stood on the deck, watching Earth spin beneath us like a blue flame. Lucid was beside me, wrapped in a gray coat, eyes dark and distant. Vera's presence lingered in the ship's systems, quiet for now, letting the silence speak. "I didn't think this part would hurt more than the war," I muttered. Lucid didn't reply at first. Then she whispered, "They needed a villain. Now they need a savior. And when they don't find one, they'll tear each other apart." She was right. The vacuum of power was a screaming void everyone wanted to fill. Colonial governors, old resistance factions, even former Earth military units, acting like kings in crumbling cities. The people shouted for justice, but no one could agree what that meant anymore. And worse, something darker was stirring. Beyond the chaos, Vera interrupted the silence. "Darren, we've picked up long-range chatter from the Vale sector's non-Earth origin. Military-grade encryptions, repeating one name." I looked up. "What name?" "Commodore Renturk." That stopped me cold. Lucid's face tightened. "I know that name," she said. "Empire's warden of the border worlds. He disappeared during the collapse." Vera continued. "He didn't disappear. He waited. Now he's rallying Empire remnants, and he's not calling for revenge." "What then?" "Occupation." I clenched my fists. Earth was barely holding together, and now this bastard Turk wanted to swoop in like a vulture. A scattered but battle-hardened fleet. A broken but loyal following. The kind of warlord who could turn chaos into a throne. "He's planning a return?" I asked. "More than that," Vera said. "He's already moving." She pulled up the data. Multiple fleet movements across deep sectors. Secret rendezvous at collapsed colonies. Recruiting disgraced officers, pirates, exiled governors. Offering them structure, power, order. Empire 2.0, Lucid said. "He's selling them stability. Exactly what Earth can't offer right now. And if we do nothing," I asked, "then he'll own the stars within 6 months." I looked around the bridge. I was tired. Every scar on my body pulsed with exhaustion. But wars don't wait for recovery. They wait for weakness. And Earth was bleeding from a dozen wounds. "He'll hit the outer colonies first," Vera said. The ones who abandoned Earth, they'll be vulnerable. I nodded. We stop him before he plants his flag. Lucid looked hesitant. Earth's barely breathing. Darren, if we leave now, they'll kill each other anyway. I cut in. If we stop Turk, we buy them time. Time to rebuild. Time to remember who they are. She didn't argue, because she knew I was right. But something deeper burned behind her eyes. I saw it. Doubt. Not in me, but in them, the people we saved. The people who would soon forget why we fought in the first place. We jumped to the fringe. Within 12 hours, Vera plotted an intercept course near the Remora Belt, where Turk's fleet was gathering like wolves around a bleeding carcass. 27 confirmed ships, multiple refit Empire destroyers, and Turk's flagship, the best monstrous relic from the last glory days of the Empire, half fortress, half war engine. He's making a statement, I said. Vera agreed. He's not hiding. He wants us to come. I'm obliging. We initiated Loben comes first. Old Empire frequencies Turk would recognize. He answered, his voice filling the bridge. Deep, cold, mechanically rhythmic. Darren Cole, Earth's rebel executioner, humanity's accidental hero. I stood before the screen. Commodore Turk, you crawling out of your hole for glory, or just leftovers? He laughed. This isn't about glory, Cole. This is about order. You tore down the house, and now the rats are feasting on the ashes. I'm the broom, you're the gravedigger, I said. He leaned forward. Do you really believe Earth will rebuild? You think those savages below know how to govern? No. They'll cannibalize each other for power. You saved nothing. You just cleared the stage for me. And I'm still on it, I said. He paused, then smirked. Then we'll settle it. You and I, one ship, one battle. No fleets, no tricks. Just you and the Vanguard against the Bastion. Winner claims the future, I said. He nodded. Then he cut the feed. I turned to Vera. Think he's bluffing? No, Darren. He wants to humiliate you in front of the galaxy. And if he does, then Earth begs him for peace. I strapped into the helm. Lucid joined me. You don't have to do this alone, she said. I'm not alone, I replied. The Vanguard surged toward the Bastion, two titans destined for a collision. No fleets, no interference, just fire, steel, and will. The moment we entered weapons range, Turk fired first. Torpedoes screamed through space. We dodged, barely. I countered with plasma lances, slicing across his flank. His armor held old Empire plating, dense, reinforced, brutal, he answered. With antimatter bursts, Vera rerouted power. Shields held, just barely. It wasn't like the old fights. This was chess with knives. He was good, tactical, patient, and his ship was massive, bristling with weaponry we'd never seen before. But we were better, because we weren't running on fear. We were running on truth. The fight lasted 43 minutes. We crippled each other. He took out our port thrusters. We melted his reactors. His last barrage tore through our midsection. My control panel exploded in sparks. I barely stayed conscious, but in the final moment, Vera found it. A weakness. An exposed fuel line near his core. I didn't hesitate. Fire. The Vanguard's final plasma bolt screamed through the void. The Bastion detonated in a supernova of steel and screaming fire. Silence followed. Then Vera's voice. Turk's gone. Lucid pulled me from the chair. I was bleeding, laughing, alive. It's over, she said. No, I whispered. It's just beginning. We didn't return to Earth for a week. The Vanguard drifted in the dark, battered and bloodied. Fires still burned in her lower decks. Systems ran at 41% efficiency. Lucid patched her core with shaky hands and silent prayers. Vera's voice grew faint, her presence flickering like a fading heartbeat. The final shot against the Bastion had cost us more than damage. It had cost us part of Vera. Her central memory lattice was exposed to the antimatter blast. Lucid told me, some of her core code is fractured, corrupted. Can we fix her? Maybe, but not without her. I sat in the command chair, the old leather torn and scorched, blood staining the armrest from a wound I didn't even remember. Getting my mind raced in dead circles, victory felt hollow. Turk was dead, his Empire remnants scattered, but Earth wasn't celebrating. Earth was quiet. That scared me more than anything. Lucid tried to rest, but she didn't sleep. Neither did the first. We both floated through the halls of the wounded ship like ghosts waiting for judgment. Eventually, Vera spoke again, only once. Darren, when this is over, you need to choose. We reached orbit again 7 days later. Earth looked the same blue and spinning, but the signals told a different story. Cities had turned into fortress, states. Factions carved out territory. The Mars colonies had declared independence. Tynan refused all contact. The moon had fractured into 3 competing governments, and Earth itself was crawling with warlords in suits. No high command, no centralized rule, just men who survived the storm and now tried to tame the fire left in its wake. We opened comms, but no one answered, until one did. Her name was Commander Rain Aldrin, an ex-Navy officer who defected during the broadcast riots. She was leading a provisional coalition of what was left of Earth's civilian leadership and defected military. The rest were either in hiding or dead. She appeared on the Vanguard screen. Commander Cole, we've been waiting. I studied her face. Sharp, tired eyes like mine. She looked like someone who'd had to become hard to survive. You're in charge? I asked. No, just the last one still standing. I didn't smile. I didn't come back for a parade. We're not giving you one. She leaned forward. You've done what no one else could. You ended the Empire. You broke Earth's chains. You exposed our shame. But now, she paused. Now the people want more. They want you. My stomach twisted. I didn't fight to rule. You didn't fight to run either. She gestured behind her. I could see soldiers, scientists, children, in hallways, people trying. You have more support than anyone. You're the closest thing they have to trust. Lucid watched from behind me, silent. Vera's voice flickered in my ear. She's right. But power comes with a price. I knew that power demanded sacrifice, and I wasn't sure I had anything left to give. We landed the Vanguard on Earth's last active port, a makeshift base near the ruins of the old UN complex. Crowds lined the runways, not cheering, just watching. Like, they couldn't decide if I was a savior or a warning. Lucid stayed on board. I'm not what they want to see, she said. You're everything they need to see. They're not ready. I didn't argue. I stepped off the ship alone. Commander Rain met me at the steps. She didn't salute. Neither did I. That era was dead. This way, she said. We moved through the ruins, past broken statues, crumbling flags. Old ideals turned to ash. Inside a repurposed war room, I met the rest of her council, 10 people, scientists, officers, a few civilians, all with tired eyes and deeper wounds. They laid it out straight. The world was barely holding. Famine, civil war, factional splits, colonies threatening blockades. Earth needed structure, fast, and they wanted me to give it to them. Not as a king, Rain clarified, as a stabilizer, a transitional leader. I looked at them, then I looked through them, and I saw ghosts. Trainer, my squad, the ones who died believing Earth could be saved. Was this it? Was this what we fought for? Vera's voice returned. Darren, if you become their spine, the galaxy may stand. But if you refuse, someone else will take your place. Lucid came into the room. They stared at her. Whispers, murmurs. She raised her chin. I am not your ruler. I was your victim. But I survived because he believed we deserved better. She looked at me. So now, ask yourself, Darren, are you willing to lead them through the truth? I looked at her, then at them, and I saw a choice. Not between war and peace, but between vengeance and redemption. And for once, I knew my answer. 1 week later, the Vanguard rose into orbit again, but this time, I wasn't alone. The world below still smoldered, but its people listened. Lucid stood beside me on the broadcast. Vera's voice, repaired and whole, echoed through the transmission. Rain and her coalition worked on building something new, not perfect, but real. I didn't call myself president. I didn't take a crown. I became what I had always been, a soldier. Only now, the war was for rebuilding, not destruction. I ended the message like this. To those who survived, you are not broken. You are reborn. To those who betrayed us, we are not afraid anymore. And to those who wait in the dark for weakness, I looked at the stars. We're still here. In the days that followed, Earth began to heal slowly, painfully, but honestly. The Vanguard became a symbol, not of war, but of truth, of remembering what was buried, of refusing to be used again. Lucid helped build the new framework for ethical AI. Became more than code. She became a voice in every rebuilding city, and me. I became something I never expected, hope, but I didn't stay long. The stars still whispered, the galaxy still held wounds, others waited in the dark, thinking Earth was vulnerable. I took the Vanguard one last time, alone, into the deep black, not as a fugitive, not as a weapon, but as a guardian. Because peace wasn't a promise, it was a fight, and I wasn't done fighting. And that's the story of the Vanguard. If you found this journey as gripping as I did, hit that like button. Leave a comment with your thoughts on Darren's ultimate choice. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the forgotten corners of the galaxy. Your support helps keep these stories alive.